So you think eating healthy is expensive? Well, I've got great news for you. You are wrong. In this video, I'm going to break down how eating healthier is actually cheaper than not. Now, if you're new to this channel, welcome. I'm Jose Gonzalez, the Keto Master Chef. I've been a professional chef for over 25 years. I struggled with health and weight for most of my life. But since adopting a ketogenic lifestyle, I managed to lose 100 pounds in 5 months. I've helped hundreds of people lose thousands of pounds, as well as reverse and prevent diseases like diabetes, hypertension, and other metabolic conditions without the use of drugs and medications. So, one of the biggest areas of pushback that I get from people when I pose the question, what they think prevents people from adhering to a healthy lifestyle, they say money, right? The cost of food, the cost of being healthy, they say it's expensive. Well, this is a huge myth that people have. And I understand why people have this myth. There's a lot of reasons to it. And in this video, I'm going to break down and actually debunk this huge myth. So if you're someone who wants to start living healthier, start eating healthier for yourself, excuse me, or your family, you can start today, and it's going to cost you a lot less than what you've been spending. So let's get right into this, right? So the first thing I want to say is this statement: nothing is expensive. I'll say that again for the people in the back. Nothing is expensive. What do I mean by that? Oftentimes people say that something is expensive, but when people say that, it's not because the thing that they're talking about is actually expensive. Okay. You see, what they're really saying is one of two things. They either mean that that item is out of their budget, and that's a very polite way of saying they can't afford it, or what they mean is that the price of that item is more than they are willing to pay. And that's okay, right? Both things are okay. It's okay if something is out of your budget. It's okay if something costs more than you're willing to pay. For example, I'm sure perhaps many people that are watching this may own a vehicle, right? Well, the reason that people get a vehicle might be because they have to go to work, because they have to drive the kids to school, they have to get around. They might live in an area where walking around is not feasible. And so they have to get a vehicle, right? So if you go to a car dealership and you start looking at cars and you see a car that you really like, then they tell you, oh, the price is $200,000, right? Well, that might be more than you're willing to pay. That might be out of your budget, but it doesn't mean that the car is expensive, right? Because there's cars that cost that, there's cars that cost more, and there's people who buy those cars, okay? So clearly, to some people, it's not expensive. So why do I say that? Because the food industry, okay, in the name of making a profit, they have been able to get people to believe that eating healthy is expensive. And if from a certain angle it's kind of true, but today I'm going to show you how you can eat healthy without breaking the bank. Now, let me share with you this quick story that a guru shared with me one time, because I think that it kind of really helps understand the philosophy behind eating. Because at the end of the day, we all have to eat, right? If we don't eat, we'll die. Okay. So this guru was telling me a story about how this man, this older man, went ice fishing one time. Now, I didn't know what ice fishing was, so he had to explain to me that this is, people do this like, you know, in Antarctica and Iceland and really, really cold places, right? Where like a lake freezes over. And so what they do is that they go to the lake, it's frozen over, they cut a hole in it, and they throw their fishing rod, whatever, with the bait into it, and then they fish out of it, right? Out of the water. So this man goes ice fishing, and he's sitting there on a chair, being very quiet so as not to disturb the fish, and hopefully trying to catch one. And so he's been there literally all day, right? Just hanging out, fishing. Okay. So after he's been there for many hours, all of a sudden, this young kid comes with a fishing pole, a chair, and a boombox, a big radio, blasting music. All right. And the older man looks at him like, this young fool, like he doesn't know what he's doing. So the kid plops down, cuts his hole in the ice, throws down his rod, right? And the old man is looking at him. And within 1 minute, the guy catches a fish. The young kid catches a fish. And the old man's like, oh, he just got lucky, right? Another minute, another fish. And this went on for about 10 minutes. The kid had been there 10, 15 minutes and had caught like 10 fish back to back to back to back. Music blaring. And the old man is looking at him like, what is this fool doing? I've been here all day and I can't catch a fish. And this kid has been here 15 minutes and he already has like 10 fish. So he finally swallows his pride and goes over there because, he wants to get a fish. So he goes over there and he asks the kid, hey, what are you, the kid sees him coming. He puts down the music on the radio and he says to him, what are you doing to catch so many fish? So the young kid says, The man's like, what? I don't understand what you're saying. And the young kid's like, And the old man's like, listen, I open your mouth. I can't understand what you're saying. And so the kid opens his mouth and he spits out a bunch of worms. And he says, you've got to keep the worms warm. All right. So that's why he was catching so many fish, because his bait was warm. And so it was easier with his bait to catch the fish. So what's the moral of the story? You can be doing an activity, the same activity as someone else, but if you're not doing the right things the right way, you're not going to get the desired result. So one of the big things that keeps people from being healthy is that they're eating food, but they're not eating the right foods the right way. Okay? Now, let's define, for the purpose of this conversation, what is healthy, right? Perhaps you might have a picture of what healthy is. I might have a different picture of what healthy is. But just imagine for a second. Imagine that I said to you, I want you to picture someone who is completely healthy in your mind. You can close your eyes with me. Nobody's watching us. I want you to picture in your mind someone who's completely healthy, like the perfect model of health. Let's just picture a man, for example. What would you imagine this man looks like? Okay? You might imagine that this man is muscular, that this man perhaps has a flat stomach or a six-pack. You might imagine that this man, eats vegetables, that he exercises, right? That he's active. Now picture someone who's completely unhealthy, like unhealthy, unhealthy, unhealthy. Just picture what this type of man would look like. Okay? And again, you have your own picture, I have mine. I can tell you, for me, when I picture a man who's completely unhealthy, depending on his age, I might picture someone who has a huge gut, right? I might picture someone who likes to eat a lot of junk food, who likes to eat a lot of sugar, who likes to eat a lot of sweet stuff, who likes to eat a lot of fast food. I might picture someone who doesn't exercise, right? Who spends a lot of time sitting down, right? Whether it's at work, whether it's at home, watching TV, playing games, something like that. I might picture someone, if they're older, who's on medications, right? Who might have a whole pill box dated, right? Sunday through Saturday. So, and the reason for that is that there's certain things that come along with quote unquote being healthy, right? And sometimes people look at someone who's quote unquote healthy and they just think, oh, that person has time to exercise. I don't have time to exercise. That's why they're healthy. Oh, that person probably has more money. He probably has a personal chef cooking him meals, right? He's probably so rich that he just wakes up and he has the trainer right there. He works out with his trainer, and then he goes to his kitchen and his personal chef makes him healthy food, right? And that's not necessarily the case. There's a lot of people, you'd be surprised, who are struggling financially, who are working 2 or 3 jobs and are still healthy. And the reason that they're healthy is because their health is a priority. And because it's a priority, they figure it out, right? So back to how is eating healthy cheap. And let me just reinforce this point real quick about what healthy is, because I gave you my rendition, but let's do this together. I'm gonna share my screen here and let's do this together. Okay, let's go to our good old friend Google and let's Google healthy man here. Let's look at some images, right? So that we can get a consensus here. That you can see here, these men are fit. They have some type of muscularity, some type of tone, right? You see them being active. Okay. Now let's Google unhealthy man. All right. And like I said, right, you have someone who appears to be lazy, right? Who's not active, who's eating what we consider junk food or fast food, right? Who has unhealthy habits, right? Is watching TV, drinking beer, right? And I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with, drinking beer, but, there's a reason they call it a beer belly. Okay. No one ever said, oh, I got a beer 6-pack, right? Unless it was actually a bunch of brews, right? A 6-pack of actual beer. Normally, when people drink a lot of beer, they get a beer keg on their body, right? Now, let's look over here. This was me. This was me when I was unhealthy. This was me as a healthy version. Now, if you saw me in both of these pictures at both of these times in my life, you might make certain presumptions, right? In the one picture, right, with the blue shirt, you might think, oh, this guy, doesn't exercise. This guy eats certain things. In the other picture, it tells a different story, right? Another before and after picture. Okay, so again, it's very easy to distinguish what it looks like when someone is healthy and what it looks like when someone is not healthy. So, how do you eat healthy on a budget? Okay, so there's 2 ways. Now, as you guys know, I'm the keto master chef. I lost 100 pounds on keto. Now, here's the reason. Keto is one of the answers. Okay, keto is one of the answers, right? Great. It's an open book test, all right? Everyone passes. You got one of the answers. But let me explain to you why eating keto, why eating healthy is cheaper. So, what we have to do, as we started to say, is define health. What is health? Okay, health is someone who has some type of muscularity, who's at an appropriate BMI, at a healthy BMI under 29, who's at an appropriate weight for their height, okay? And someone who's either active, right? Or at least on a slight level, or and especially who's eating the right types of foods, right? Like the guy that was ice fishing with the warm bait, right? You have to do the right things the right way. Now, just for the record, when I lost 100 pounds in 5 months, I was not going to the gym. I was not lifting weights. I was not doing ab workouts. The only exercise that I did for 5 months was walk. Okay. So when people say to me, oh, you don't understand, I can't exercise. Really? Now, if you got 2 broken legs or 1 broken leg, I understand you may not be able to walk. Okay. But once they heal, then you can start walking. Right. Now, if you can't walk, then we have to figure out something customized for you. But what I'm saying is most people who are unhealthy, are able to walk. So when people say to me, oh, but I can't exercise. I have a shoulder problem. Okay. And I can't exercise. I can't lift weights. I don't have time to go to the gym. Okay, and can you walk? If you can walk, you can lose 100 pounds in 5 months. I'm here to tell you, I did it. Okay, and the fact that I did it doesn't make me better than you, doesn't make me worse than you. It simply is to let you know that it can be done, and it can be done by you. Okay, there's nothing. Trust me, there's nothing special about me. All right, especially when I was 5'9", 285 pounds. But I did it. Okay, now the part where it's cheap. The reason that people think that it's expensive to eat healthy is for two reasons. Number one, foods that are marketed as healthy are generally more expensive. For example, we've been taught that chicken breast is healthier, that the white meat is healthier than the dark meat, right? We've been taught that the chicken breast is healthier than the chicken thigh, right? Or the chicken wing, that the skin is unhealthy and fatty. Well, that's just not true. Okay. But since people believe this, and since people have been taught this program, right, by big food and big pharma, and most people have accepted this as true, what do food purveyors, food distributors, right, big food companies do? They take advantage of people believing this. And how do they do this? Back to the chicken example. Do you realize that when you buy a whole chicken, you go to the supermarket, you buy a whole chicken? Let's just say, to use round numbers, it might cost 99 cents a pound, right? So a 10-pound chicken costs you $10, 99 cents a pound. Well, guess what? Each chicken has two breasts, two wings, two thighs, two legs, or the whole quarter leg, right? It has two of everything, right? But what happens when you buy the chicken in cut up parts? Meaning you go and you buy just the wings, or you go and you buy just the thighs, or you go and you buy just the breasts. Did you ever notice? Did you ever wonder why, if you buy chicken breast on its own, it costs a lot more than chicken thighs? Aren't they coming from the same chicken? Doesn't the chicken have two breasts and two thighs? And if you bought the whole chicken, it would cost one price per pound. But now that they cut it up, the thighs are cheaper and the breasts cost more. That's because you've been programmed to believe that chicken breast is healthier than chicken thighs. Okay, so that's just one example. Now, there may be certain areas where this applies. For example, if you buy regular lettuce or spinach versus organic lettuce or spinach, in that case, the organic lettuce or spinach might be more expensive. But that right there doesn't make your food shopping or purchasing food more expensive. So you're wondering, okay, so what do you mean? I understand the chicken, but now you're saying this is more expensive. It doesn't make my meal more expensive. This is the reason that people think that eating healthy is expensive. The reason that people think that eating healthy is expensive is because people compare the amount of food that they eat in an unhealthy diet to the amount of food that they think they're gonna have to eat in a healthy diet. Now, you've probably heard me talk about this before, but carbs do three things in your body. Number one, they spike insulin, which is a fat storage hormone. Insulin takes the sugar, the carbs out of your blood and converts them to fat and stores it as energy to be used later. But because many people are on a carb, sugar, glucose diet, whatever you want to call it, you never get to burn that sugar. The second thing that carbs do is that they reduce a hormone in your brain called leptin, which lets you know that you're full. And this is why it's often easier to eat a lot more food when you have carbs. And then oftentimes, if you ever had like a big pasta meal or Chinese takeout or something, you eat and you eat and you eat. And by the time you're done, you're like busting into seams and wondering, oh my goodness, how did I eat so much? It's because the carbs reduced the leptin in your brain, and you didn't even know that you would have been full if you would have stopped earlier, right? You overate. And number three, carbs make you hungry all of the time. When people say to me, "Oh man, I woke up hungry," I tell them, "You had carbs last night." Oh yeah, I had rice. Oh yeah, I had potatoes. Oh yeah, I had French fries. How'd you know? Because carbs make you hungry all the time. People that do keto do not wake up hungry. Because what keto does, and by keto I mean low carb, high fat diet. What people on keto do is that number one, when they eat, they get fuller faster because they're not having carbs. They're not having high carb meals. They're having low carb meals, right? So imagine you have a dinner that has, let's say, chicken, potatoes, and broccoli. We've been taught you need to eat your carbs so you can fill up. But the truth is that if by eating the potato with the broccoli and the steak, you're able to finish it all. If you just had the steak and the broccoli, you might get fuller faster because since you don't have that carb, you're not going to be able to overeat. Your brain will get the message on time that you are full. Secondly, because you cut out that potato, and we're just using the potato as an example, right? When you cut out that carby starch, now because you did that, you're going to get fuller faster and you're going to stay fuller longer. So what's the point? Here it is. People that do keto eat less frequently. When someone is in a carb diet, on a sugar diet, on a glucose diet, when you're waking up and you're having cereal, oatmeal, donuts, soda, sweetened coffee or tea drinks, sugar, hash browns, whatever, biscuits, pancakes, waffles, when you're having carbs and sugar for breakfast, it's just a couple of hours before you're going to be starving again. Not hungry, starving. When people get up and they have that for breakfast, they have a bacon, egg, and cheese on a roll. They have a sausage biscuit, right? And a nice sweet coffee or sweet tea. 8, 9 o'clock in the morning, 7 o'clock in the morning. By noon, they are starving. Then they eat again at noon. By 2 or 3, 4 o'clock, they're hungry. So now they're looking for a snack because they can't wait until 6, 7, 8 o'clock at night for dinner. And then they have some type of snack, some type of sugary carb loaded snack. And then they have dinner. And then if they're up late, they're grazing and looking for something else to snack on because they're still hungry. Carbs make you hungry all the time. Okay? And not just hungry, but hangry, ravenous. You have breakfast at 8 a.m. and by 11 o'clock, you're already thinking about what am I going to eat at noon? And by the time noon comes, you're so hungry that you can't make, even if you wanted to eat healthy, you can't make healthy decisions because you just need food. So when people think about eating healthy, they think to themselves, well, if I spend more money in the morning on my breakfast, and if I spend more money at noon on my breakfast, and if I spend more money on my snacks, and if I spend more money on my dinner, well, eating healthy must be more expensive. But people that do keto or eat healthy, and when I say healthy, I'm talking about food that's not going to spike your insulin, that's not going to cause inflammation in your body, that's not going to lead to arthritis, diabetes, obesity, hypertension, chronic kidney disease, fatty liver, PCOS, all of that. Okay? All of that. They're all the byproduct of hyperinsulinemia, people having too much insulin from eating too much carbs and sugar. Okay? That's what I'm talking about. The pictures that I showed you, unhealthy versus healthy, the picture that you have in your mind, healthy versus unhealthy, over consuming carbs results in being unhealthy. And yes, there are people that are skinny fat that can eat whatever, right? They can eat whatever. They can eat ice cream 17 times a day and they don't get fat. I understand that. But skinny doesn't always mean healthy. You see, if you're overweight, your body is doing you a favor. Because when you're overweight, if you think you're overweight and you're healthy, great. God bless you. I don't think so. I knew when I was overweight that I was not unhealthy. I knew when I would bend over and tie my laces and I couldn't breathe because I was compressing my stomach. I knew that I was not healthy. Okay? But some people want to think because they're active, because they have a job, because they do stuff, that they're healthy. No. A lot of people want to lose weight. But let me tell you something. Losing weight is a byproduct of being healthy. Okay? And if you're the type of person that you can eat whatever and not gain weight, well, great. But I wouldn't be too I wouldn't gloat over that, because it doesn't mean that you're the picture of perfect health. There are exceptions to everything. Okay? I know people who are skinny and are diabetic and pre-diabetic. I know people who are skinny and are on blood pressure medications. Okay? And I don't think that anyone that's on blood pressure medications or who's diabetic is healthy. Okay? So, the reason that people that do keto spend less money, even though we buy better ingredients, is because we eat less frequently. We don't wake up hungry. We eat one, usually 2 meals a day. People that really do keto eat 2 meals a day at most. Sometimes you just eat one because you're just not hungry. Okay? And it's not like you're starving yourself, because when you're on a carb diet and you try to lose weight, you go crazy. That's why they don't work, because they tell you eat less. But guess what? You're hungry. So it's not sustainable. It's not sustainable to eat less when you're starving all the time. And more people have busier and busier lives. Okay. And even if you had all the money in the world, you may not have enough time to eat 4, 5, 6 meals a day. Now, I said that keto was one of the ways to eat cheaper. The second way is intermittent fasting. Intermittent fasting allows you to be healthy by restricting your eating window to about no more than 8 hours a day, giving you 16 hours in the day when you're not eating. That may sound like a lot to some people, but usually you sleep 8 hours. Usually, not everyone, but you sleep 8 hours. So you push back your first meal by 4 hours, and then you don't eat anything in the last 4 hours before you go to sleep. That's a 16-hour window. People who intermittent fast try to make that window of not eating as little as possible, as little as 8 hours, 6 hours, 4 hours. Okay. And if you combine keto, where you get fuller faster and stay fuller longer, with restricting your eating window with intermittent fasting, the synergy of that is incredible. Okay. It's incredible. So, sorry about that. I've already talked more than I wanted to talk, but I just wanted to drive home this point. Okay. Now, if you're a parent and you have young children, I get a lot of feedback from parents who say, "Oh, well, you don't know my kids. They won't eat this. They won't eat that." And so I ask them. I say, "All right, cool. How old's your kid?" "Oh, my kid is 8. All right. Well, what time do they get home every night?" "What do you mean? What time do they get home from being outside?" "Oh, they're not outside. They're at home." Like, "Oh, they don't like to go out." My point is this. You know, I understand that is extremely challenging raising children. I especially understand that it's extremely challenging getting your kids to eat healthy when they're being targeted by food companies and advertisers. You ever notice when you go into a store and all the candy's in the bottom? You know why? Because kids are short. You ever notice when you go to the store, all the kids' cereals are on the lower shelves? Because your kids are shorter than you. And so food companies place the food where the kids are going to see it. So you're here trying to shop and your kid is pulling your arm, "Mom, mom, mom, I want that. I want that." And you're like, "Well, how the hell did you see that?" Hello? Is at their eye level. Okay? Food companies, big food, spend a lot of money specifically targeting your kids. Okay? And then they go to school and it's Johnny's birthday and Johnny's mom brought pizza and cupcakes. Right? So now if you've got your kids eating carrot sticks and broccoli as their lunch, they're the social outcasts. Everyone's making fun of them. Look at you eating broccoli. We're here eating cupcakes. And so I understand how challenging it is for parents. But all I can say to you is, you know, more is something that I learned from one of my mentors about being a parent is this: more is caught than is taught. And that means this: if you're eating healthier, it will be easier for you to influence your children into eating healthier. Okay? I used to hate sparkling water, seltzers, club sodas. I used to not like them. Okay, I didn't like the flavor, I didn't like the fizziness. Then one time my son and I were at this playground and we got some food from a food truck. And of course, I'm trying to get him not to have sugar, not to have so much sugar. So they didn't have any bottled water. All they had was seltzer water. So what did I have to do? I had to pretend to like seltzer water so that he would drink seltzer water. Because how do I look drinking a Sunkiss and telling him, no, you need to do this? Okay. So I'm not saying that it's easy with all of the things going on to get our children to eat healthy. But if you're a parent who's actually wanting your kids to eat healthy, you have to eat healthy. More is caught than is taught. I used to be a chef for this guy in Harlem who owns a few restaurants, a few bars. And he went to Yale University. I remember one time we were talking, and he said to me that he never ate meat until he went to college. And so he went off to college. He grew up in Brooklyn, Long Island, and then he went to college in Connecticut. And he was like, he never ate meat until he went to college. And I'm like, what? Now, mind you, this guy's he's built, he's muscular, he's a former athletic, champion. And I'm like, what? What do you mean you never ate meat until you went to college? He goes, yeah, my parents were vegetarian, so we never had meat in the house, right? Like, yeah, I would see my friends eating it at school, like they would give hot dogs and burgers, but that's not how I ate. Like I didn't even think I was missing out, you know. Now imagine that his parents would have been like chomping on a steak and telling him, no, don't eat meat. Okay, so I just say that to say, if you're a parent and you are wanting to, get your kids to make healthier choices, we have a serious epidemic in this country of childhood obesity. Okay, of children with diabetes and pre-diabetes. It is crazy. It is crazy. Okay, again, I'm gonna tell you, more is caught than is taught. So again, how to eat healthier and affordable: do keto or intermittent fasting. This way, you're going to be eating less frequently. You're not going to wake up hungry. You're not going to be doing late night grazing. You're not going to be having snacks in midday. You're going to focus on one ingredient items: steak, fish, chicken, lamb, whatever types of proteins you like and enjoy. You're going to consume healthy fats, and you're going to eat low carb vegetables with that. Okay. One of the things that I have my clients do, well, one of our rules in our program is eat when you're hungry, eat until you're full. Me or none of my clients, we don't portion control, we don't ration our meals, we don't eat smaller meals. When I lost 100 pounds in 5 months, I didn't eat smaller meals. I didn't starve myself. I ate keto. I ate as much as I wanted whenever I was hungry. And that's what all of my clients do. They eat when they're hungry and they eat until they're full. That's it. They just omit the carbs so that they can't overeat. They omit the carbs so that they're not hungry all the time. They omit the carbs so they don't get a spike in their insulin, which is going to turn that sugar or carbs into fat. All right. So I've said more than I wanted to say. I hope you found this helpful. If you know someone who's seriously trying to lose weight, who's seriously trying to reverse a health condition like diabetes, arthritis, hypertension, or whatever, please, I encourage you to share this with them. This information could radically, radically change and impact their life and their health. Okay. If you enjoyed the video, if you found this valuable, please like, subscribe. It helps our growth. It helps our mission of sharing our message with more people. If you didn't like the video, thank you for watching. All right. See you guys in the next one. Peace out.